The Knobbly Crook is a surreal point-and-click adventure game with wildly imaginative artwork, a bizarre and silly sense of humor, and a soundtrack full of rock and blues guitar tracks. Best of all, it's a totally free, full-length experience, but despite being over 10 years old, I'd never heard of it before. So stay a while and listen as I tell you about a weird point-and-click game that I think is worth your time. The first thing you see before we even start the game is this incredible artwork. Check out the detail on this thing. We start the game in the middle as we get rolled up to a judge to answer for some crimes we've committed. This is us, Osiris the Snip. Chief Paincutioner here asks us to confess to our crimes, including but not limited to trespassing, indecency, assault, and theft. When asked why we did the things we did, we launch into a record scratch, "Yep, that's me" story where we flash back to the beginning of our adventure. This weird face with a spooky voice comes to us and says to meet it at the highest point of the titular Knobbly Crook, the part of the world that we come from. Unfortunately, we're on a half-horse, half-ship going in the complete opposite direction of the Knobbly Crook, so we have to cause some kind of emergency in order to get back the other way. The first thing you might notice is the cartoony but surreal visuals. The ship we're on board is complete with a tongue and a digestive system below deck. The character designs are just awesome. Check out this massive stone ogre guy called a Boggold. The bartender is just two barrels with a face. He's got a bottle opener coming out of his forehead. Other character designs later in the game knock it out of the park and they show a ton of imagination. The other thing you might notice is this rock and blues soundtrack. It's an absolute bop. Doesn't this track remind you of Spyro the Dragon? The Knobbly Crook is a point-and-click game, so if you've ever played one before, you probably understand the basic controls. We can move our mouse to the upper edge of the screen to change our action to walk, look, use, talk, take something, or check our inventory. It's a little slow and awkward at times to play this way, so just know that you can right-click in order to quickly scroll through actions. In order to cause an emergency and turn the ship around, we need to feed metal objects to these little rock-based creatures called the Glummerlungs. The world of Knobbly Crook operates on three prime elements: rock, paper, and scissors. No, seriously. Osiris here is a Knobbly Crookian, a people made primarily out of metal. The Boggold is made of rock, meaning we simply don't stand a chance in a fight. Since paper beats rock, we use a dart made out of paper to slay the Boggold and grab his metal triangle. This paradigm comes up over and over when it comes to puzzle solving. We grab a coin from the bowels of the ship, pull some nails out of our hand, and lock the captain in his cabin, all to get enough metal objects to cause a disaster on ship and escape. Chapters 2 and 3 take place in Knobbly Crook itself, where the developer's imagination really goes crazy. Locations include a fair complete with games and a haunted house, a pocket dimension filled with paper people, and the Temple of the First Birthday, which is a citadel in the middle of this yellow lake, filled with a death cult of sorts, simply called the Birthday Boys. Our goal here is to gain access to the Royal Guffaloonery, to meet the strange creature that gave us this quest in the first place. To that effect, we need to find the three totems, ancient creatures of great power that watch over the land, and convince them to deactivate the magic seal in the vault on the shore of the lake. And let me just say, these things look awesome. We've got a crab monstrosity with a triumvirate squid consciousness, a one-eyed cat that lives underground and hangs from the ceiling like a marionette, and the Crow Pope who lives in the mountain. I felt the game was worth playing just for the art alone. On top of the regular point-and-click style gameplay, there's this rock, paper, scissors minigame that you have to play a few times in order to complete your goal. You each start with 10 hit points, and losing a round of rock, paper, scissors reduces them by 1. Your opponent will telegraph their next move. For example, when this guy's right eye twitches, he's moving clockwise on this graphic here. Figuring out what telegraphs what is the key to victory. In terms of difficulty, you got your standard moon logic puzzles you might see in any game like this. For example, we need to fill out a loan application to get a bunch of cash money as an offering for the Crow Pope. You do this by taking a stick that you toasted by sticking it in the belly of a banker who just happens to be a talking furnace. Next, you put the stick in a pile of antweezer shit. Hand it right to the Chief Guffaloon who signs the paper for some reason. And this works somehow. Personally, I don't have the brains for this kind of thing, but there is a guide out there if you need it. I also want to call out the way the characters talk. They sound like Jabba the Hutt.
Iza Knobbly Crookian. Za Fushibasa Droto.
Na, idota kero pebuta da pefuta ponawa.
The game is totally full of this. Can you imagine the VAs just sitting in a booth for hours voicing these characters? With the 3 seals unlocked, we're free to take this powerful artifact, a pair of scissors, and ascend the Guffalunary to meet the spooky voice guy from the start. Jeez, game, I didn't think you'd have jump scares. Unfortunately, in order to understand their totemic speech, we cast a spell to turn them into mortals inadvertently. This allows the various enemies of Knobbly Crook to invade and bring the whole land to ruin. After being captured by the enemy, we find ourselves back at the beginning, confessing our crimes to the judge. We use our scissor and paper artifacts to do battle with the judge, cutting him up after wrapping him in mystical paper. Having done this, a time traveler from 200 years in the future appears and pulls us forward in time, only to leave us stranded in the captivity of a new enemy. As far as I know, there wasn't a sequel. All in all, I think the game is definitely worth checking out. If you're not a super patient gamer, you might want to try playing along with the guide on Steam, just to see the sights and hear the sounds. Well, that's it everybody. Hey, if you like this video, consider subscribing. I love playing weird, unusual, and artsy indie games, so let me know in the comments if you know a game that I might want to check out. If you want to watch me check out weird games live, check me out on Twitch sometime. Alright, that's it. See you next time.